Welcome back to Saravji's hut. Working on Google Cloud Machine Learning Engineering certification, going into week 5. This week I'm going to be reporting on the progress that I'm making, that I have a potential solution for the lab issues that have been plaguing me for a while, and some more badges. So let's dive in. Welcome back to Saravji's hut. I'm going through the certification for the Google Cloud Professional Machine Learning Engineer in the series to get starters in data science, machine learning, AI, evaluating certifications. This week I'm going to be talking about the progress that I have been making, that I found a potential solution for the lab issues that I have been facing, and some more badges that I earned. So let's dive in. This week I've been making quite a good progress. I invested about 25-30 hours this week for this certification. All in all, the progress is relatively steady, relatively smooth. I had a couple more lab issues at the beginning, and during this week I found a potential solution. More to that just in a moment. All in all, the labs and the materials keep getting to the point that you actually need to have a good foundation, a good understanding of the basics of the materials that you can completely follow. The materials attempt to go on a beginner level, but they are not explaining basics enough for actually being considered beginner level. So there is kind of this disconnect in there in the materials, that you actually need to know quite a good portion of the materials already that you can completely follow. And then for that knowledge base, the materials are a little bit too far tiered towards beginners. It's an unfortunate disconnect that is there. So this is the observation that I have on the materials this week. There are a few questionable and contradictory actually mentions in the materials, but that is not further detrimental, I would say, because there are situations where each of those statements are correct. Even though it appears to be contradictory, all the statements are valid in certain situations. Possibility where to criticize the materials here is they are creating those contradictions without any further explanation. And that goes back to what I mentioned, that the materials are not plain beginner materials because they're not explaining the basics. They're expecting that a good foundation is already existent, that you can follow them. As I mentioned, I have a potential solution in regards to the lab issues that I have been facing. I still have to do an experiment with a certain type of lab before I am announcing it as the solution. So it's a certain type of lab that I have not gone through since I found that path. Once I can confirm that it also works for this type of lab, I'm going to be announcing it as the solution, and how you have to properly work with the labs on Google Quick Labs, that you're not running into the issues. Altogether so far, I think I wasted about, I would need to look it up in my notes, but it's at least 12-15 hours that I waste with those lab issues. So if I can only save 1 or 2 people wasting that much time because of those lab issues, it was well worth it. So stay tuned. I don't know exactly when the next lab where I actually can explore, or that kind of lab that I'm looking for, is coming up. And the moment it comes up, I'm going to be giving you the solution to those lab issues. But I don't want to jump the gun and then actually revise it. So stay tuned and keep fingers crossed that I have the solution soon. As mentioned, I invested quite a number of hours this week to actually make good progress. So I got a bunch of extra badges. Google appears to be very fond of handing out those badges, so I got a bunch more. And I keep going and let you know what comes up next. Altogether, so far, the experience is a pretty positive experience, even with all the difficulties that I have been running into. I'm really appreciative of the Google Cloud platform and what Google actually has put together there, as well as what they're actually attempting to do, what their declaration is, what they're trying to do. I think that is going into the right direction. Of course, there's always potential for discussion and disagreement, but in general terms, I am pretty pleased with what I'm seeing so far. That was it for this week from Saravji's hut. Thanks for visiting me again. I'll keep you posted next week with what I'm experiencing, what I'm seeing, and let's see if I can already make the solution to the lab issues public. That would be a big win, I think. Thanks again for visiting me at Saravji's hut. Don't forget to subscribe, and see you next week. I appreciate you dropping by. Please subscribe. I'm done here. Fire to that.